Hello, welcome to the Lately in JavaScript podcast, hangout, whatever should we call it. Hello, Michael. How are you doing?
Привет. Can you hear me okay? 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm doing good. Thank you.
I'm not sure if I listen to you, right? Or are you still in Russia?
Oh, you can tell by the background here. I'm back at home. I'm back from the USSR, back from Russia.
Yeah. How did it go?
It went well. Had met a couple people from Hacker News. We had lunch. I had lunch with them a couple of times, and actually there was I think 6 or 7 people that were looped in, and they said they were going to show up, or they could have, but only 2 made the trip. But they made the trip all the way into central Moscow to meet with me.
But that's a typical percentage of people that go. If 10 say, maybe 5 will go.
Yeah. So it was, but it was actually kind of fun just to talk with, because they were completely different styles of people. Yeah. And I got some information on. Actually, I think one of them was planning on moving to the U.S. permanently, hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah. But kind of getting their perspective on the Russian tech scene and some of the web stuff going on, and financial differences between the U.S. and Russia in terms of pay and cost of living, all that kind of stuff. It was interesting to me. So. Right.
You said the Hacker News, they are not developers of Hacker News, are users, right?
No, there were techies, developer types. One was, I'd say that, but actually probably a little bit more entrepreneurial. One of them has gone through a couple of startups of his own, fundraising, that sort of thing, but he still codes and gets down at the low level, or can. And the other was a bit more of a senior level kind of developer guy who's now transitioning, or kind of has more recently been managing teams of people. So, but it was fun, and I got to try out my Russian a bit, and that's how it goes. Yes.
Yeah, you are good.
I'm going to be drinking. Can I drink on air here?
You are.
This is all Russian vodka. Just going to down it.
Yeah. Me too. I am a great liar. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on with the podcast. This time we are going to talk about several interesting JavaScript related topics that I think that have been happening in the JavaScript world. By the way, one thing that was not planned, but I just remember about it, is that there was an April Fool's article, and I think it is on NetTuts or something, that talked about CSS4 and some made-up features that they invented. And it seems some people really believed it was really... I don't know if you saw that article.
I didn't see it. I have to admit, the last couple of years, I basically stay off the internet on April 1st. And I still get on and do email and work, but I stay away from a lot of the news outlet sites, because they're just full of... I mean, sure, it's fun to some people, but it's been going on, for me, it's been going on too long, so I drop out.
No, it's just amazing that some people still fall for that, because I think the article says things like they're being resurrecting the Blink style and the marquee, and the CSS now could embed some JavaScript on the styles definition to define behaviors of elements. Well, actually, some of those claims could be believable. And then I saw somebody 4 days after that making a video. It was a guy from Brazil. Man, you believe that? You are not talking in April 1st. You are talking April 4th. It's different there. It's no longer the April Fools.
Now, if they had said, if they had suggested that we could embed ActiveX controls into CSS files, that would have been a big tip-off. But just saying JavaScript, it almost sounds, if not believable, it sounds like something people would want. So, and if any of you out there are listening and you actually want to embed ActiveX controls in your CSS, just because I completely made that up, you're sick. You are...
Just in case you are in doubt, you are sick.
you are sick in the head. You have problems upstairs. You have mental problems if you desire that. So on that bombshell, now that I've alienated many of my loyal watchers,
former fans.
Yeah, there you go. That was my Sarah Palin here.
Okay.
Is that too soon? I don't know if that's too soon or not. But okay, carrying on to the regularly scheduled stuff.
Even if we are not commenting anything useful, at least it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, to somebody.
Okay, now to the actual topics. I would like to start about talking about there have been some news about search engines now supporting the HTML5 pushState for crawling AJAX pages. And for those that are not familiar with pushState, it's I think you can call it a function of the history object that nowadays browsers have, that allows you to sort of add a URL to the history of the browser to say currently this state is of this URL. And there is an article here. Let me try to increase the font. This one is in search engine land because this is a matter that interests people that are working on SEO related matters. They commented about here precisely because Google starts supporting HTML pushState some time ago, and now it was the turn of Bing. I was even trying to show the Bing article here, but for some reason, since I'm based in Brazil, Bing redirects me to a Brazilian site for which they are using a license to some software that they are not allowed. So I had to use this proxy. I never heard of it before. I hope it does not kill me.
How many is in a Brazilian? Anyway, never mind. Carry on.
I already told me about that joke.
I know. It gets funnier every time.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there is not much to talk about this except for the fact that it seems to suggest that now search engines are able to execute the JavaScript that may be inside of pages and interpret the pushState calls and somehow be able to figure the URLs, the intermediate URLs used by AJAX pages. So they suggest it's no longer needed to use that hash bang convention that Google introduced some time ago, some years ago, I think. And they have even here an article, a video from Matt Cutts. It's the web spam lead of Google. For some reason, he's always smiling. I don't know. He's probably having lots of fun with the changes that Google makes in the search engine's algorithms that keep hurting the traffic that search engines send to websites. So it seems to always be happy. Oh, we introduced another change. You are losing traffic again. All right. Well, never mind. That's another.
He could just be a happy guy. He could just be a happy guy, and that's why.
I don't know. It's there is that thing that he keeps switching shirts between different videos of Google. He kind of records tens of videos a day, and he has a pile of shirts to.
I'd be happy if I had a lot of shirts. I'd be happy too. So I mean that right there, Occam's razor. Let's just shave this one down. That's the easiest one. That's easy. He has a lot of shirts, therefore he's happy.
Yeah. And this one shirt is, we love a webmaster. Yeah, right. In the last 2 years, Google has been changing a lot their algorithms that it hurt a lot the websites. Many of them probably not doing anything wrong that they knew, but Google feels he's always doing the right thing. And, well, never mind. That is an off-topic comment. Anyway, that there is talking about this in this video. I'm not going to actually comment on to show the video, but just comment briefly that is presenting a question from a guy named Paul Irish from Mountain View. Well,
CA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just pretending that Paul Irish is not a well-known JavaScript personality that works for Google now. And sometimes they answer questions precisely from their own employees. Oh, Google is awesome. Anyway, the question here would be: should you move on and use pushState to update URLs in the page there on each way using AJAX in the base navigation, or shall we continue to use the hashbang convention? Well, basically they just say that we should continue to use whatever works better for us, because they'll keep supporting both approaches. I'm just not sure if that means they crawl the JavaScript and execute it to figure, because well, you can call pushState in a page with JavaScript in many ways. So it could be a deeply nested condition that can be executing that code. So I suppose they are saying, oh, now we can crawl everything and execute every JavaScript, every condition, follow every possible step that the user can do. So I don't know. Do you have any clue of what that would be?
I don't, and honestly, I wasn't thinking that they were necessarily executing the JavaScript to look for those sorts of things. I was looking at it, thinking at it more that they were that the crawling of the things pushState or hashbang URLs was still primarily something just scanning the A tags or scanning links of some sort. Though I'm aware that there's some claims that at least Google will do some execution of JavaScript in the browser, or not in the browser, but it will execute JavaScript that's in a page. I don't know to what extent it does that, or if that's how they're doing this sort of crawling stuff. I would think not. And also, I mean, at some point you can't actually crawl down. You can't execute every possible permutation of the code.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. But well, I'm sure they can crawl JavaScript, at least those simple fixed statements like document rights, and then process the resulting HTML. But I don't know if they can do more complex crawling. So this makes me wonder. Probably just that you mentioned you probably have a page that works without JavaScript, and it will just crawl the links.
Yeah.
Even if it's not what the user will follow when JavaScript will be disabled. Well, anyway, that's just one topic that is a bit intriguing. But now moving on to another topic, I would like to mention something that is similar to another that we talked in the past show. This is this library Chardon. Chardon. What would be the
Chardon?
right?
I would say Chardon, but it's probably Shardene.
or Chardin. Never mind. It's probably not even French.
I don't know.
Why we are guessing it is French?
Well, Harden.
It looks French. Maybe it's French. Well, this is a bit different from that. I even forgot the name, but it was interesting. The library that would follow steps of sort of tutorials about each page work.
That was a sort of a guided tutorial, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and this is just here's help information, or here's annotations. No, they're calling it overlay instructions, but yeah, it could be, you could do multiple annotations rather than instructions. I mean, even these, they're not instructions, they're just an awesome 18th century painter. This button,
yeah, just some additional information. Because, well, wait, I did not want to go to GitHub. Not yet. Well, see it in action, that's what appears. So it's even simpler than the other one. Well, anyway, it is a simple but a nice effect of showing overlay instructions.
Yeah.
It's not multi-step. I enjoyed more the other approach, which is a multi-step presentation.
They have their purposes. One of the interesting things about the and I had introduced it before, and the name is escaping me too. But the idea of the multi-step tutorial sort of thing, and I don't think they did it in that library, but I would imagine it wouldn't be too hard to hack it up. Would be to record either through Google Analytics or some other recording thing as to how many steps somebody got through. When you do step by step by step, you could capture, gosh, everybody went to step 3 and then stopped. Everybody had to go through all 5 steps. And when you do an overlay like Chardon is doing, you won't necessarily know what information is more useful or less useful to people. It's just capturing different stuff. If you know that you have everything just on one page, or that the majority of stuff will fit on one screen, this approach looks very, very useful.
Yeah, I agree. I think both libraries have their purposes. Well, at least this one, as long as you don't have too many topics too many things to show in the screen, it will be good to show it all at once. As if it had much more steps, probably be confusing for the user, I think. Well, anyway, moving on to the next topic. Well, I'm not sure if have we mentioned about PhantomJS before in this hangout?
We have. I'm pretty sure we've talked about it at some point or mentioned it.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it very briefly, or maybe it was some article in your magazine, JS Mag, that you mentioned.
PhantomJS. There, I've just mentioned it.
Oh, okay. That was what was missing. And let me try to increase the font here. And well, basically, this is just an article that tells you how to extract some clipping some sections of page rendered with PhantomJS. For those not familiar with PhantomJS, I have not tried it, but from what I understood, it is a headless browser, meaning that is a browser that does not show anything to the user, just software that works like a browser, fetches spaces like a browser, and renders them like a browser, except that you cannot see them, but you can make it generate pictures, extract pictures, rendering pages. And in this article they are showing how you can use it to just extract a clip from a certain area of the page. I'm not sure if you can specifically point it to a given page element, because this example here just shows how to capture a given rectangle.
Yeah, points, pixels, something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's possible to specify a page element and capture it. It's probably more useful than trying to figure the exact number of pixels, which may depend on factors like font sizes and.
It does mention in this little second or third paragraph there, common use of clipping rectangle is when you need to track the position and size of a particular element by get bounding client rect. So it looks like, and they're mentioning Casper as a second project or as a separate project. But I would imagine from this you could say find this element, find div ID, whatever, get in bounding information, then you could clip around that. It probably is the clipping probably is always just based on, you would always just clip a rectangle, but you could get the bounding coordinates from a separate method call. That's what it looks like.
So it's a problem with a solution, probably not directly, but using that function. Yeah. And I think, personally, I think PhantomJS, despite I have not tried it personally, I think it's an awesome project because it solves a difficult matter. Usually, if you want to capture pages, web pages, make thumbnails of pages, you would have to run a browser somehow on the back end and try to make it to capture the screen of the browser. And with the PhantomJS, you do not need anything like that. You just need Node.js. I think it's the main environment for which this Phantom headless browser is targeted. Michael, have you tried to use it yourself, or you just know it from theory?
Yeah, not specifically Phantom. I've used no. I've used Node, and trying to think. It's not Phantom. It was Phantom and Vows. No. It was Zombie and Vows as an agent and a testing tool with Node. Not Phantom, though. It reminds me of this whole idea of clipping. I'm reminded back in 1998. Wow. I did a little bit of work with a company called, I was subcontracted by somebody else, but it was at that time printing.com. Yeah. And they were a print shop. They managed to get printing.com very early on in the mid-90s. They were custom, send them files and they would print them and do letterhead and stuff. But they had this postcard service where you'd give them a URL and they would take a snapshot of that and make it into a postcard for you. And they were investigating doing it automatically, but the only thing that was even remotely possible at the time was scripting, doing this with a Windows NT server and having it pull up IE and automatically capturing part of IE, that rendering, and then grab that as a GIF or a JPEG or something and send that over. That was a really difficult thing to do. Relatively speaking, some people could do it with their eyes closed, but it was a very specialized thing to do. And here we are 10, 12 years later or more, we've got things like Node and Phantom and all this sort of stuff that makes it possible to do.
Yes, I think it is very interesting, and I can find some use cases for that. Personally, I'm not comfortable with using those web services that do clips.
Thumbnailing?
Yeah. And, one thing that it's probably different, I don't know, since Phantom is a JavaScript library, is being able to capture certain screens that the users want to report some bug, but that's something that will run on the browser side, not the server side. Since Phantom is able to render pages, I wonder if there could be a solution that this could be used together, probably capturing the current page DOM state, send it to the server, and it would render. a preview, because I think Google has a problem report tool that does something similar.
Mm-hmm.
The use case that I'm seeing for that is when some user, oh, your site is totally borked.
Yeah.
Let me show you something. Oh, I cannot capture a screen.
It seems I can't remember if we've talked about this or something many months ago, but I think I've seen some tracking or some services where you can embed code into your pages that'll do that for issue reporting. So
yeah, I think there are some libraries that do some of that, and even if it is a combination of some browser side code and PhantomJS to render the captured DOM elements, it would probably be great. I'm not sure if it would generate an accurate picture of the browser, because sometimes browsers behave and render things very differently.
Well, yeah, that's always going to be the issue. Is it IE7, IE8, IE9, IE10, IE6, IE5, Firefox, whatever? Unless you can take a screenshot directly from somebody's browser, you won't always be able to tell what they were seeing.
Yeah, but that's even more difficult problem if it has a solution at all. I don't know. I don't know. Is there anything you could do with Canvas to?
That may have been the tool that I was thinking of that would do that, but I think that's still going to limit you as certain browsers. Somebody using something really old, you're never going to see it just because there never was that functionality.
Oh, you cannot debug the use cases of those Netscape 4.
Well, even like IE7, it's not going to give you the same ability to capture Canvas stuff, for example, that you could with Chrome that came out yesterday, or IE10.
Yeah, those 0.1% that you choose.
But those tend to be the people that
complain.
Yeah, they complain. They may be somebody sitting in a government office, and they're the ones that sign the check, or they're the ones that bend the ear of somebody that signs the check.
Those are important. Those that sign the checks are important.
Exactly.
Very, very important.
I had worked years ago, had built something, and I built it with the client, and they tested it. They had it was a tool for a couple hundred of their salespeople to use, and most of the people used it without problem. We had a couple browser incompatibilities, and then either the day before the launch or maybe a couple days after launch, I got this panicked phone call. We got to stop it, got to rebuild the whole thing because it doesn't work for the owner of the company. And like, well, the owner of the company is not buying stuff from himself, so does it really matter? First off,
right.
But he was sitting at home with his web TV, and it didn't work on web TV. I'm dating myself. This is 1998. Like, okay, it doesn't work with web TV. Does that mean we have to shut it down and rebuild the whole thing? We ended up not doing that, but that was this ridiculous. Well, it doesn't work for him. He's not buying from himself. It doesn't matter.
Right. Well, we'll never know if the neighbor also has a web TV.
Well, really, and it was we had the luxury to some extent of saying it was an internal tool. It was an extranet thing, but it was designed for their few hundred salespeople. Many of them were using it with laptops. It's not web TV. They're portable. They were using it out in the field with their PCMCIA plug-in modems. Yeah.
All right, that was a glimpse in the past.
Anyhow.
Well, okay. Anyway, moving on with the podcast now, talking about something that, I learned. I also learned. I don't know everything, so I also learned.
You know everything about Brazil, though.
Yeah. Everything but the girl.
Totalmente.
Well, anyway, this is an article that talks about variable function arguments. I was familiar with variable function arguments in PHP, in C. I'm not sure how many other languages support a variable number of arguments. But I was not aware that is also supported in JavaScript. Not that it would not make sense, is that I was not aware. I did not come across a use case that I could use it. But this article here by Jim Hoskins tells how you can do it in JavaScript. So I learned that there is how can you call it, a fake variable named arguments inside each function that is an array of arguments, right?
Yeah, and I'm not sure you call it fake so much, but it's something that's simply provided by the language. But this is very similar to func get args in PHP, where you'd say, figure out how many arguments are passed in. If I got 2, then do this. If I've got 3, then do something else. So not quite method overloading, but giving you a way to fake that if you need to.
Right. So, well, I have never come across a use case for variable function arguments. Have you ever passed?
Not for me, not directly. I probably have used it at some point, but it is something that when I'm teaching for Zend, let me drop some names here. I haven't done this in a while, but I have some classes scheduled with Zend.com to do some PHP training over the next several months. So if any of you are interested in taking a PHP class,
that was a shameless play.
Shameless. I have no shame. No, but seriously, I'm one of the classes that I have taught is one that is I forget what they call it, but it's aimed at people that already have some programming experience. Maybe they've done Java for years or C# or something. And I get this question almost every class: how do I do method overloading? And I have to say, this is how you do. You don't really do method overloading, but you can have sort of a generic method that you call, and if you pass 2 parameters, 3 parameters, 4 parameters, you can then say essentially what this article is doing. If there's 2 arguments, then internally call this other, maybe call this private method. If there's 3 arguments, call this other one. And I've had some students that, and I don't know if they've done it forever, but they like to think about one method name with multiple parameters performing different behavior. So it's maybe a transition step for them to do that. If that's how they want to think, let them think that way.
Well, I've seen, but it's still in the PHP world, not in JavaScript world. I've seen not only that case that people check the number of the arguments, but also the types. If the types are different, they do different things, and you can also call it function overloading, because it will do different things depending on the parameters that come. But for JavaScript, I never come across any application which I could use it, but it doesn't mean that it's useless. Well, if you ever need to use it, well, now, if you did not know, like myself, that it is possible, now you know.
Yeah. Well, the example that he's giving here is different than, and I was looking at something else earlier. The example he's giving here is just you're passing in an array of his definition, or his example is for function longest word. So whether you pass in 1 word or 5 words or 10 words, it's going to iterate through them and give you the longest word, which you could again do with func get args in PHP and just treat it as an array and iterate over it. But not, this use case is not really the same as what we were talking about with method overloading or faking overloading. But yeah,
I probably would pass an array with the parameters because
you're just going to iterate over an array. Yes, you could just do that.
It would be the same, but except that I would not pass a variable number of arguments. But okay, I got the point. Anyway, moving now to another interesting article here about detecting the use of global variables in your JavaScript code, which may be a symptom that you you may have some a bug in a declaration of some variable because you forgot to declare it as var, and it starts using the global space. Well, I don't know, they call it global, but in reality there is not really global space in JavaScript. It's more like the root object. In the browsers, I think it's window, right?
Yeah, I think.
That's what they call globals. If you forget to use the var statement to declare the variable as local, it will become automatically global. And with this Debug.js library, it can detect variables that appeared in the global namespace. I'm not even sure if namespace is the correct word. Anyway, I think it is useful because it can detect signs of bugs. Because if something was not meant to be global and it is appearing to be global, you probably have bugs, and you can may cause unpredictable results by the fact that if different parts of your program start messing with the same variables in the global namespace, they may be changing the values and changing the behavior of what you expect. And I think it is useful. Michael, have you ever come across a situation that you declared some variable as global inadvertently?
Not in JavaScript. Well, I mean, I've done it, not inadvertently. I've just done it, especially earlier on. But even now, doing quick little, let me just do a couple lines of something. Yeah, I've done it. But usually the projects I'm working on, the JavaScript is small enough and contained enough that I've not run into issues with that. But going with the general idea of global variables are bad, I've certainly run into that issue in PHP and other, well, PHP primarily, Perl a bit too. That was a long time ago, but yeah, I've run into that issue being a problem, and people accidentally doing stuff and sharing code and overwriting things, just not specifically in JavaScript, but I can still see how it'd be a problem.
Right. Well, globals have their uses. It's not a crime. You will not go to hell if you use globals, but if you did not mean to use a global and you forgot the var statement, you may incur in that. Well, in PHP it works differently. You need to explicitly declare a variable as global, otherwise it is local. So there is no risk that it may happen, but in JavaScript there is that chance, and this library Debug.js may be useful to help detect. Well, on the other hand, if you use programs like Lint or Lint or JS Hint, it probably will analyze your code and figure declarations of globals that probably you did not mean to be globals.
I was just loading up PHP Storm here to see if I just demonstrated the inspect code function to somebody a couple days ago in PHP Storm, and was trying to just see here if explicitly, if I said go inspect this JavaScript, if it would find that as a problem. But this project has tens of thousands of files, and it's taken too long to scan everything. So it might, if you have an IDE, it might show you that stuff, or as you're saying, other lint programs, things like that, may also find these sorts of things.
Yeah. Well,
they'll show you other stuff too, maybe more importantly.
Yeah. Well, at least since a few months ago, I've been using JS Lint even online, because it's easier just to go to a page and paste the code and that's it. But obviously integrating in your preferred IDE to be more comfortable.
Or part of your build process or something too. So.
Oh, the build process.
Yeah.
You've been doing too much Java.
Sorry.
There is no build process in PHP or JavaScript.
What do you need it for? What do you need that for?
Yeah, it's already built. It executes source code, not compiled bytecode.
I'm calling bullshit on this whole thing. Yeah.
Bullshit?
Yeah. Excuse me? Hello. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you very much.
Well, now we are approaching the end of this podcast, and it's time for what's that? It's
well, I was approaching the end.
Okay,
I know that makes no sense at all, but
I'm so slow. I'm slow. I was not figuring that meant an approach. And anyway, as was I saying, it's time for one of those regular sections of this hangout on which we comment the winners of the Innovation Award. This time we're going to talk about the winners of the JavaScript Programming Innovation Award of February. They are nominated then, and then they were voted in March, and in April the results came out, and we have here like 5 nominees. Well, Michael, which ones would you like to comment?
Well, in no particular order, maybe just start at the bottom and talk about
no particular order, but starting at the bottom.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, it's not a particular order. It's a random order that I chose to declare.
Okay.
Screen share. So desktop 1. I'll share all of desktop 1. No. I'll share this page. Just to zoom in a bit. Hello, this one is from Rafael Lucio dos Anjos. Hope I'm saying that even close to how it should be said. So
you're saying it's in Spanish.
Sorry, but he's from Brazil, so
yeah.
I said it wrong. How would you say it?
No, you know, in Brazil it's not Spanish.
How would you say it? How would you say it in Brazilian then?
The whole name, Rafael Lucio dos Anjos Fontes.
Well, I only got Dos Anjos on my screen, so do you see that on my screen? That's all it's showing.
Oh.
Whoever coded this piece of bullshit here just put ... So.
Oh, that's.
Thank you. Thank you.
That one developer of that site that decided to cut very long names.
Yeah.
So
okay. So
the
fact that I didn't say his full name, partially not down to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, object can animate a page element. It doesn't animate it like Harlem Shake animation. It'll just animate it some other way.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Incrementing or decrementing any numeric CSS property value until it reaches final value. And I thought we had a actual demo online. We don't have an online demo, but it's right here. Just a very short couple of files.
It's an hint for the author. Rafael, you need to put a link to a demo online.
Manuel, you need to provide hosting for all demos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
well, for JavaScript, it's possible.
Yeah, but I didn't say that out loud. I mean, I didn't.
Already said before to copy JS Fiddle.
I have, but either way, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, but you were saying
in a random order. We'll alternate.
Oh, me. Well, I could also start talking about.
Could start in the middle.
Start by opening the screen sharing. If
you could share that.
That's always a challenge, trying to increase the font here. And this other one, again from Rafael, is this is another interesting class, and this one uses Canvas for previewing image files before you upload them. So this one is a AJAX image uploader. The title is a bit misleading, and also the description is probably not very explicit about the utility of this JavaScript object, but the nomination text here explains it more in detail. For instance, if you want to upload some images and you look at the file names, you are not seeing the previews of the images. You may upload the wrong images by mistake, and with this possibility to preview the image that is being uploaded, you can help the user to confirm whether it is the right picture to upload or not. So I think it is very useful for many sites that type up pictures to upload.
It's just, it's a good idea, done well. It's a shame that this kind of stuff isn't built into the browser. I despair of all modern browsers in 2013 and the limited, crappy file uploading functionality that we still have.
Right. So. But let me tell you that, well, I use Linux, and at least the file selector for GNOME, it can show previews of the images that are being uploaded. I think it depends on the applications, because I think I've seen that also in Windows applications. They can show a preview.
Well, when I open a file thing on the Mac, it gives me the file dialog, and I can choose, and I can do previews of the images there if I want to. Right. But that's really not the point. File upload in browsers sucks in 2013. Still today, and GNOME file dialog stuff is, that's its own discussion.
I think when the application is aware that it is expecting a picture, it can preview it. But for browsers they have no knowledge of the application is expecting a picture, so they do not do anything specific to the type of image file that is being uploaded.
Oh, and there's obviously no way that we could mark up a document or a script to tell the browser what sorts of files we expect. That would be impossible. That's not how would I, as the application developer, know that I want a PNG file and then tell the browser that I want it to only accept a PNG file, and then it's a PNG file, so I'd like to show a preview of it. How on earth could I do that?
No, I think wouldn't know that. Possible. There is the accept.
I'm joking.
Attribute. Well, that's I know you are always joking, but browsers could pick that information from the accept attribute. I'm not sure if is it an attribute from the input, the file input, or the form. I'm not sure, but I'm sure that it allows you to specify a series of MIME types that the browser could deduct. All are image file formats. So not only I should filter the ones that should be accepted, but I can also show a preview.
Yes. Anyhow. We're getting off topic. Browser upload sucks in browsers. File upload sucks in browsers.
That's what I would do if I develop browsers, but...
Please. In the meantime, thank you very much, Raphael, for your image upload.
Yeah. So, is it your turn, or shall I...
Well, it's my turn, and then you get two more.
Okay.
How about that? My other one here is, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen with you. I'm going to sing a little bit while I do that. This is from Marplo, and I think that's actually somebody's, it's an abbreviation for a name, but I don't know who it is. But it is somebody from Romania, so hello, Marplo. This is a JavaScript object which implements an interactive trivia game. And look at that. There's a demo here. So if you see this here,
Yeah.
We can actually go down here and click Start.
Yeah.
And so we have a way of defining questions. We have a way of defining answers. What's a yellow shafted flicker? I think it's a bird. Look at that. I'm correct. Which southern continent can the thorny, I'm going to say Australia. That's correct. And so on. So it keeps track of.
You are a wizard.
I am. It's called prepping before the show. Quizzes. So it tells me how many questions I have, how many answers I've got right. Actually fairly comprehensive. There's I can come down here and just do animals and then start as well. So you can have an intro screen. You can have multiple questions. I have to reset. I could put a countdown timer on and then restart. And then it has a countdown timer of 13,
It does
12,
everything.
11.
It's a whole application inside that JavaScript wall.
Yeah. Does quite a lot, I have to say. Probably the one thing, so you can say consecutive. You could say I want these to be in random order. Probably the only thing, and this is, it does seem more conducive to trivia type games. I recently had to put together a online survey system, and I ended up doing most of it in Knockout.js. And the one thing that well, two things that differentiate it from this. One is that we're not doing live yes and no because it's a survey. It's not an actual yes or it's not right or wrong. The one other thing is skip logic or branching. So if you that might be something else to look at, which would broaden the use case of this a lot. Would be if you answered this one right, then go on to level 2 or go to a harder set of questions. But for what it is, this is actually surprisingly compact and surprisingly full-featured. So I'm not surprised it was one of the top 5.
Right. Well, actually, Marple has contributed quite a good bunch of objects from for different purposes. Not just JavaScript, but also PHP, because there are some applications that require server-side component. So I hope he continues to send more great objects because they are well appreciated. And
assuming it's a he, could be a she. Is it a she? Do we know? Marplo.
I'm sure he's a he. Because I sent him one elephant because he participated in the JavaScript Innovation Award Challenge we organized last year, and he was one of the top contributors, and so he is entitled to an elephant. The only thing that it's my fault that I do not remember his name is Mauritius or Mar something. Hope he can excuse me because we old people, once you start getting Alzheimer, that's what happens. Well, now on more a serious note, let's move on to another object. This time it's my turn. Actually, the remaining times just have a couple more. This one is a JavaScript memory game, this time by Mark Rollich, which has been also a great regular contributor. He also sent an object that works like a game. It's that memory game that you can how do we say it works by remembering the positions of pictures, images, and again it's another object that works like a complete game. Well, I'm not really playing this seriously, it's just showing what happens. And
I think you are. I think you are, and you're no good at it. But that's a good deflection. I'm not really playing it.
No, exactly. Well,
I'm not really doing this.
Just demoing the features. And here we can see there are different levels, and it increases in complexity. It not only changes the size of the puzzle, but also the number of matches that you need to move on. So as you go along and evolve in the game, you are required to match more than two pieces. And if you fail on a second piece, it restarts. But if the second piece is equal, it lets you pick a third piece, so you complete the match. And then it gets improving also on size and number of matches. And this is interesting because as a game, it's also well designed. It's not exactly original. There are similar games, and anyway, it's great that Mark Rolish from Armenia has been sending a lot of interesting objects like this, which are practically games. And this is also interesting to notice that many of the top contributors, not only this time but other times, are from Eastern Europe. Michael, you have been recently in that region. Do you have an explanation?
Sorry, your audio is breaking up.
Well, I was telling that many of the latest contributions are from authors from the Eastern Europe.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why that would be. I don't know. I'm not even sure I could speculate.
It's the water there? No.
I don't think it's, well, I don't know. Vada in Russian is water. Thank you. I get to show off that word. No, I'm not sure if there's any...
it's the vodka.
Yeah.
Vodka.
I'm just not sure if there's any rationale for it other than they have maybe more time on their hands. That's the only thing that would even close to make sense. But
probably the weather is colder. They don't go out and stay at home programming great topics.
Maybe. Well, that's environmentally that could be. It would be up to you to maybe check that out and see in the wintertime. What's wintertime for them? Are you getting more? And then in the summertime, it's going to stay light until 10 or 11 at night. Do you get fewer in the summer?
These ones have been submitted in February, so it was probably winter. That's okay.
You'll need to track that.
Yeah. I'm doing some business intelligence to figure what's the probability for authors to contribute more. But then it does not apply to Rafael, which is from Brazil, and Brazil was in the summer at that time.
Sure.
So, there goes that theory. Okay, now finally moving to the last class. We've been delaying this hangout to be able to show this object with the proper attention. This one is from Arthur Sossin. So Arthur has been sending a great bunch of classes. He's also from the Eastern Europe country, Latvia, and he wanted to make it, but unfortunately he was busy. I invited him to come to the podcast because he wanted to do something funny related to this object, which is to sort of making fun of some trend of a dance some people invented called Harlem Shake. And basically what this object does is to start animating one element of the page for a while, and then is followed by the other elements that start shaking on the screen. But I was trying to figure, there was a demo video here, right? Let's see if we can show it on screen. And if you, in case you think this is ridiculous, maybe it is.
It probably is, but go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to play the video here. Let's see how it goes. Can you listen to the audio of the video?
I'm trying not to. No, I don't hear any. I don't hear any audio.
Oh. That's a shame. Well, anyway, what matters is that there was an element here that started animating, and then the others followed.
There you go.
You want to see it again?
No. Yes. 9.
Why not? Oh, well.
How do you say no in Brazil?
No.
There you go. No.
Okay.
Just Portuguese, I should say.
Yeah. Well, anyway, your luck is that Arthurs could not make to the podcast, or else he would make you dance. He wanted us to dance to the sound of the music of this Harlem dance, and I think you would be the lead dancer. You would start dancing, and then us would follow. But fortunately for you, you were saved by the fact that Arthurs could not make it.
Good.
Arthurs, I tried, but Michael is not amused by the fun of the music. Well, anyway, this concludes this section. We are practically reaching the end of the podcast, but not without closing with the latest topics, articles on the JS magazine.
Well, we're actually doing this very, very beginning of May, and we actually have this article out. No, there's we haven't done a full announcement. It's technically up and available, but this is. We had another 1 or 2 articles that were almost done, but just trying to hit. As one of the things we try to do is try to get out stuff on always at the beginning of the month. So, in the interest of hitting our date deadline, we didn't get all the content in that we wanted this time, but we have our standard. Justin Lonis has been doing our news for the past several months. Thank you for doing I think pretty good job of kind of covering a lot of different things that are going on in small little pieces, what's happening in new library releases and so on. Chetan Kuran has a new piece on keeps covering some of the highlights and what's out in jQuery 2.0. Janine Meyer has written for us several times, and she has a continuing series on writing how to write different effects using JavaScript. And Lars Kotoff, I hope I'm saying that somewhat correctly. This is actually the first of a 2-part series. This is most of an introduction piece, and the next month we'll have more in detail on D3.js. Which is a visualization. He actually says more than visualizations, but D3 is a fairly complex visualization library, which I have been wanting to get into for a while. And this may be one more piece. I've actually gone through some D3 tutorials and some of their documentation, and some of it still just doesn't make sense to me. I may be a little slow, but I think in general, I've heard from many other people, it's one of the more complex libraries to wrap your head around. Yeah. So if you've had trouble with D3, you're not alone. I have, and many other people have too. So. Well,
on a related note, there's a contributor, a regular contributor, Tom Schaefer from Germany. It seems to be a very big fan of D3, and he hasn't published. I don't think it was in JS classes. It was in PHP classes, a wrapper, so you can. It could be used to simplify the use of D3 library, and I take it that it can be used to interface other JavaScript libraries, right?
Probably. I haven't got that far with it. I'm a fan in terms of what it looks like it can do. I'm not a fan of using it, just because I found it to be more difficult than I thought.
You like the cake, but you don't want to eat it.
Well, no, I like the cake, and I wouldn't mind eating it. I don't want to have to bake it, or go buy the ingredients, or buy a new stove, or learn how to sort of get my own flour, make my own flour from wheat. Nor do I really want to understand the physics of how the eggs and the wheat and the sugar all mix together and why they intermesh. to give me the cakey goodness. And I actually wish you hadn't brought that up because I am really hungry for cake now. I saw cupcakes on set. You called me earlier. I was at the grocery store trying to just get healthy stuff. I got a lot of fruits, but I should have got some cupcakes. Man, I should have got some cupcakes.
And you need you are on a diet, right?
Well, no.
Yes,
I try to keep
no.
Yeah, well, try to keep it brief. I have been actually going to Russia. Food was more expensive there, and typically the portions were a bit smaller in most of the restaurants that I went to. So, kind of with those two things put together, I ended up eating less while I was there. I've been running, and I kept up my running while I was there too. So, certainly over the past several months, just by eating a bit less and running more, I've certainly lost some weight. But I can't say I'm on a diet. Like yesterday, I had 3 pieces of pizza, and I had Burger King for lunch. So it's not like I'm saying I can only eat this and I can never eat anything else. But so I'm not totally on a diet. I would love some cupcakes. I just wouldn't have. Typically, back in my old self, I would have had 4 or 5. So now I just have 1 or 2.
Yeah. So you are getting sensible in terms of keeping the balance.
Maybe.
Well, anyway, just related what we were saying. He uses the Tom Schafer uses the d3.js to access different libraries.
Cool.
And but
I see. Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how it works. I confess I'm not familiar with it. Anyway, maybe these simplify the use of the D3 library that you probably were not enjoying so much. Well, anyway, this is just the last note. I think it was a great show. We covered many interesting topics, and on my behalf, that's all for now.
On that bombshell, adios.
Okay.
До свидания.
Bye.
Пока.